All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. We are here with Ty. Ty, you're in Vancouver Island, right?
Vancouver Island, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got Ty here. He's been in the community for 6 months, about. Is that correct?
I think I joined late September, early October.
Oh shoot. So a little bit more than 6 months, but oh, you didn't get rolling until a little bit after that. But
Yeah.
anyways, the reason we're here with Ty is because he hit a big milestone. If you clicked on this video, you probably see what the milestone is. And as I like to do with other people who come into the community, get a hang of things, have success, all that, I kind of like to give you guys a place to share your experience, not just in the community, but in this space and how you went from zero to 10K per month. Um, you and I were just talking about this before, and we started the recording because I didn't want you to repeat yourself. But for the sake of anybody who might be watching this, can you give us like a short background on what you were up to just right before you got into this space?
Yeah, I was not up to much. So after graduating back in 2019, went to university, ended up going home right away because of COVID. And when it came to coming back, kind of had to reevaluate everything and figured out that it wasn't the route that I was quite wanting to take. And so went back home and started figuring out what I wanted to do with my life as a career. And in the meantime, started a prestigious position at a local pizza company where I was a delivery driver. And then, after a year of being in that position, um, I knew I had to take the jump at something. I didn't know what it was. So I just tried sales and thankfully it worked out.
Did you try any other online business models prior?
No, and that's a commonality that I see in these interviews is everyone says, "Oh, I tried drop shipping, I tried this, I tried that, didn't work out." I was more of the type where I would do my research on everything, but when it came to actually, investing money in something and taking a first step in it, no.
Yeah. Interesting. Why did you choose sales?
Well, I still had an interest in business, and it really was a combination of looking up on Google, what careers can I get in business without a degree? Because I was pretty certain on not getting that degree. On top of just doing my research in sales and realizing how important of a skill it is to have. One thing that I always like is that sales isn't necessarily job security, but it is career security. Like I could lose this next offer that I'm on any moment now, but with the skill set that I've built, I can go into so many different avenues.
Hmm. Yeah, that's something I was thinking about actually today, which is funny you bring that up. Like so many people are afraid of losing jobs, and sure that sucks, especially if you like the job. But like as a salesperson, like you can just sell yourself into another job and then use the same skill within that job to make an income. So, I mean, as long as you're a halfway decent salesperson, um,
Right.
and you believe that you can do it. If you don't believe that you can do it, then yeah, I'd be scared too, you know? But did you said you were a delivery driver, but were you like before this or when you were in college or high school, were you kind of more of like a outspoken, extroverted person, more to yourself? What was that like?
Very to myself. Yeah, not extroverted at all.
That's how I was too. Um, did you, because before I ever considered sales personally, I was like, I didn't even consider it because like I'm not the guy who's talking to everybody. Like I was also very to myself. Um, I don't know why. Okay, knowing that about yourself, like why did you then choose sales? Was it just like, oh, I'm going to learn the skill either way because I know it's going to be good for me, or like obviously it wasn't a comfortable thing.
It definitely wasn't comfortable at first, but yeah, I knew it was a skill set that I wanted to build and I knew I could build it. It's not like I wouldn't consider myself shy or socially anxious or whatever. It was I can have I'm fully capable of having good conversations with people. Um, and I know that that translates well over into a sales role, um, especially on the listening part of it, right? Being able to actually listen to a prospect and what they're needing and where they're at with everything.
Yeah. What's your take around all of that? The listen, like, prioritizing listening versus being the sales guy that just yaps the whole time.
I think that I definitely think that there's a good balance. Um, in my position, there's certain calls where I definitely have to do more of the talking, maybe because they're not opening up as much. Um, and other ones where you can really just sit back and let them speak for 5 minutes straight and essentially have them sell themselves.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you have to have the awareness to know when to play into one side or the other. Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest parts about sales that not a lot of people uh, focus on is just like the social awareness or the acuity that is required to like basically shapeshift into what you need to be for that prospect. Um, but the guys who figure that out, like yourself and a lot of other people in the community, like, I mean, it goes all the way down to like the interviews, right? Like a lot of people are taking group interviews. I don't know if you ever took them, but like, dude, if you don't get in there and act like well in that social space, you're not even going to make it to the next round. Um, so yeah, that's a really big part. And then even like coming from a more, to yourself background similar to myself, like I had that awareness probably like you that like the risk, it's worth it for me to like get a little bit out of the comfort zone to make this happen for myself. Um, and then you just like it just becomes what you do. Like now I doubt you're like it's just second nature for you now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but going into like the process of okay, so I decided I wanted to do sales. Now what? I don't know. Like, can you refresh my memory? Like, did you try this before you joined the community, or was joining the community like when you decide like when you started going after it?
I wouldn't say did much before joining the community. Kind of the same with all those other models I explored. I knew myself and that in order to really go all in on something, I need to invest some amount of time and some amount of money in order to do so. So I think prior to coming into the community, I maybe had done a little bit of outreach through Facebook groups, but that's really the extent of it.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your take too, given this because I used to be similar in that sense where it's like I didn't I had bought programs and low ticket stuff and stuff like that. But obviously, like it's no secret the community isn't cheap. It wasn't cheap when you came in. It's not cheap today. Um, how did you know that like, oh, I've looked into these other business models before, never like fully went and invested. Like, how did you know that it was a good move for you here?
In the community, it was just a matter of doing my due diligence. I was a bit of a lurker on Twitter, and was following people in the space. And your account was one that I just consistently saw a ton of wins, and I just got a sense of community through those
Yeah,
testimonials.
cool. Well, yeah, dude, that's the angle. The all the marketing is just results for everything around the community.
Mm-hmm.
But um, that being said, let's like trot along the timeline here. You get in and like you okay, now you're in, you invested money into yourself and this endeavor. What was the experience like for you when you started getting your name out there, applying to more jobs, getting access to potentially, I mean, myself and like others in the community? Like, how did that process go from, let's say, when you joined the community to landing on the first, I can't remember how many offers you've had, but landing on that first offer, first good offer?
Yeah, so my first offer is actually my current offer.
Oh,
Um,
even
I'm
better.
still at the same place that I started with. Um, I came in with relatively low confidence. It's hard to sell yourself when you don't know what you're doing in terms of sales. And I hadn't gone through much training. I had no connections. And so I got all of that through the community. I remember as soon as I joined up, I went through the majority of the training, took a bunch of notes within the first week. And at that time, I believe when I came through the community, I had already applied to a job, had an interview, was turned down. And then I used my experience that I gained through the training to essentially go back to them and win them over.
Yeah. I remember you posting about that now, and that's super cool that that was the first offer. And similar to myself, dude, I was disqualified from an interview when I first got into the space, and then I went back and I followed up and I played my cards right and I got a trial and then got brought on. But what I think I kind of remember, what was it that you went back to them with that made them reconsider you?
It was just my attitude, I think, what it boiled down to. I remember in my meeting with the sales manager, I asked her what quality the top rep embodies, and she said uh, ambition and teamwork. And so what I did was I wanted to show my ambition. I wanted to get that across. And so what I did was I used the training to come up with my own scripts tailored to their offer. And then on top of that, I recorded a audio file of me running through it, pretending I was on the phone with a prospect. And I sent that directly over to her. And within an hour, she got back to me and said that I'm on the team.
Dude, yeah, so that's like a perfect example, dude, of just like nobody else is doing that. And I think like to really gain traction in this space fast, especially at the appointment setting level when there's a lot of people who want to get in, just do something different and make sure it's like at least a little bit quality. Like clearly you
Mhm.
put effort into this. I now that you say that, like I do remember what you shared with the community, like this is what I did. Um and yeah, dude, that goes so much further. I've said this recently, but anytime people like cold outreach me or they're applying for jobs, like if they do something custom or go outside the box and like they do this specifically for me or for our offer or something, like it always stands out. And unless they're like, there's actually something wrong with that person, I'm going to have like much higher consideration for them after they do something like that. But super interesting. Um, so again, anybody who's watching this, they're here probably because they saw you were able to get the result a lot of people were looking for in a pretty decent timeline here. What was it like? You get on the team. Let's fast forward. You've been on that team for 6 months. Is that the 6 month uh, about right? Because you came in and then started like a month or two later.
Yeah, I started dialing end of November, so I think it's coming up on 7 months now.
Okay. So what over the last 6 7 months, going from being disqualified to making $10,000 on that team in the same position, like what's been some of the biggest lessons, takeaways uh, from your time there so far?
Uh, it's a good question. I'd say it's um it's important to know that it's not easy. It does take time. I mean, my 10K month came after months of dialing more than I should have and really just working on my skill set because the reality is that I was starting from zero. I think that there's especially on Twitter there's an idea floating around that you can be making 10K months by sitting by the pool taking a couple calls a day, and especially for a setter that's just not the case. Right now I'm putting in bare minimum 10 hours a day on and off dialing, of course, not nonstop. But if someone was to reach out to me at 9 o'clock at night, hoping to get on a call, you got to do it because that's what bridges the gap.
Yeah. So it sounds like, and that I agree with you that the common theme is, especially as a setter, man, like you want to make $10,000 in a month as a setter, like you're going to be grinding your ass off. And like actually, as a closer, there's a chance that you can do that on like a part-time gig and it's chill and it's fun. But as a setter, it's like, I mean, any sales industry, man, like tech sales, insurance sales, like you always start door to door sales. You always start with that harder outbound, like grunt style work. But now, I mean, not only like I'm sure you've kind of solidified your spot on that team, but like you mentioned earlier, let's say tomorrow you woke up and there was no opportunity for you there. Like I'm sure that you go talk to a few people with the resume that you now have, and you'd be heavily considered above a lot of people, um, versus like when you first started. So yeah, it's not easy. We have another guy, Diego. I'd like to get him on one of these, but he came on one of our teams, was a bank teller, and in his first month did over $10,000 as a setter. And like he's doing the same thing, dude. He's like cold brew, working a lot of freaking hours, but um, it's just what it takes. And you do have to want it, dude. Because like I can tell, like we wouldn't be on this call if you didn't want it, you know. Just by some of the stuff that you're saying on this, it's like I can tell that your mindset is like I'm here to get the job done, not like I'm here for some easy cash, you know. So what you we talked about this briefly before the call, but it's like you hit an income milestone that like everybody and their mom is like, oh dude, if I can make 10K a month online, that's the dream. I'll escape the matrix, whatever. But you were saying that like I was excited about it for like 5 minutes, and then it's like, all right, that happened. We're moving on. Like, what was it like experiencing that?
It was awakening, but it sucks. I thought I'd feel better for a lot longer. I remember officially hitting it. It was literally I had two deals come across the line in the last 2 hours of the day, so it was very close. Felt
Yeah.
amazing. I told my family. I posted it in the school group, of course, and then like an hour later, I was like, "Damn, that's it."
Yeah. Dude, it's always like a crazy feeling because then 2 hours after it's like back to zero,
Yeah,
because the month is over. Especially, yeah, dude, you get to the 10K. We have guys, um, they're like pushing for like 20, 30K months, and then it's like clock hits 12, we're back to zero, and like you gotta push again. Um, but dude, it's some people say sales is easy. If you want to do it at a high level, it's not easy, but it is very rewarding because I mean, so much of like inconvenience and uncertainty in life is it kind of stems from like a financial point. Um, and man, if you can just check the box, it's like, hey, as long as I show up and do my job and give it my best, my bills are going to be paid. I'm going to be good. I can pay for everything that I need, all the people that I need. And, you know, some people, maybe that's what they're after. Some people, not so much. But um, what are you thinking like moving forward? I would say you're definitely solidified your spot as an appointment setter who can do the job. But as you hit this 10K month, um, what are some of your thoughts like moving forward? Is it something where it's like I see a lot more potential in appointment setting, and I'm good at it. I want to keep going. Are you kind of looking out into the world of like what does closing look like? What does the next step look like? Like where's your head with that?
yeah. I mean, if there's one thing that I've learned from jumping into sales and seeing the success that I've seen personally so far, is that there's growth. There's no growth in your comfort zone, and so right now I'd say I'm relatively in my comfort zone, fairly confident with my setting ability, and now I'm wanting to take things to that next level. So closing is that next natural step.
Yeah, cool. And with you, because this is actually some really good perspective, and I love having these calls like this because like I'm not here to just hype up the community. Like I'm like I think it's genuinely interesting to like kind of see where you are at and where you're thinking about things. But like, what are you envisioning as as the next step? Like, are you envisioning an internal push, or are you looking for an outside team? Like, what are you thinking around that?
Well, for any business owners watching, my
Yeah,
DMs are always open. Um,
yeah,
no, I am pushing internally, and we'll see what happens with that. But I'm always keeping my doors open.
yeah. That's a that's the one issue with being a really good setter, man. Is it makes it hard for them to take you out of that position, because then there's big shoes that have to be filled. You know.
Yeah,
Are you on a team with multiple setters or just you?
it's a small team. It's two closers right now. I believe they're onboarding someone else right now. But yeah, two closers, two setters, me and one
Okay,
other.
nice, cool. Well, yeah. Let's see. I don't want to hold you too long. What do you? Let's like rewind now all the way to the back, or all the way back to when you were delivering pizza, looking into online business models. What do you say to that person who is in that situation? Because I was telling you before this, I used to work at a pizza shop. I used to be the guy that was looking into online business models, similar to yourself. What do you know now that you wish you knew back then? And what would you tell the other people that are in that position, who want to get where you're at?
You just gotta you just gotta take a jump at something, right? You gotta try it out, and if it doesn't work out, that's fine. Just try something else. You gotta keep going at it. For me, at my pizza job, it was a scenario where I wasn't doing anything, and I kept going back to square one without even really reaching two. And I'd also say, it's definitely possible to get to where you want to be in sales, for example, doing it all yourself. The resources are out on YouTube. Um, Follow some good people in the Twitter community. But if you're wanting to move much quicker, you gotta you gotta put some money into it if you want to get those quick results. And one thing that I told myself, because I do have the habit, or I did have the habit of backing out of stuff quickly, was I told myself that I'd give myself 6 months. And after 6 months of sales, if I don't like it, I'll try something different. And I stuck with it for 6 months. Definitely had some tough months, some months where I didn't want to keep doing it, but I stuck around like I said I would, and things are going all right.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, man. In this remote sales space, and I think it's important to talk about. Everyone hypes it up, and they say oh, dude, it's a dream life. Work from the beach, 20K a month, part time, whatever. But the reality is, like, there will be up and down months on offers. And what's important now is, like, what I told you earlier, you have the resume in this space to go. I'm not going to drop names because that's confidential for the community members, but to go out to some of these bigger people, show them what you're up to, what you've done, and like be top consideration, which, like, the hardest part that I see with people coming in either from zero or from another sales industry is getting that first role and it being a quality role. So you've already got past that. Now it's just about leveraging up and up and up into better stuff. Um, or maybe it's not even necessarily like better, but it's like more optimal for you. Maybe you're making the same, but you're working a little bit less, or work the same and make more, whatever your goal is. So we'll wrap it up there. But I do appreciate you, Ty, coming on and being a part of the community,
Of
sharing those
course.
wins. Um, if you're watching this and you're considering it, it's pretty cool. We help guys like Ty. Um, we'll be dropping more interviews. If you guys have any questions, Ty, if you want me to link your stuff below, if you want some clout from the business owners or the sales reps, we can put you down below. Um, Other than that, we can cut it here. But I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.